Hi, good day everyone. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Mr. Theoframe Aaron Delillarte. On this video, we'll be discussing introduction. Okay, so it regards on a curriculum design and organization. Okay, so let's proceed. What is curriculum design? A framework or plan of action for preparing a course of study or a set of students' experiences. So, yung ah lahat ng magiging students course or study, lahat 'yun nanggagaling sa curriculum. Lahat ng pinag-aaralan ng mga students from elementary, high school, college. So, yan. So, and then yung bago nating curriculum, no? Na K to 12. So, next, deliberate process of devising, planning, and selecting the elements, techniques, procedures of curriculum. So, okay, dito papasok sa atin guys yung philosophy, experiences. No? So, lahat ng mga teaching curriculum from educational technology, learning assessment, principles of teaching, facilitating teaching, curriculum development, educational technology, and teaching profession. So, sa mga nabanggit ko, I think mayroon pang mga bago na dapat pang aralin eh. Kasi sa mga teacher, hindi dapat nag-stop or nag-focus lang dun sa old curriculum kasi meron tayong old curriculum versus today. Yeah. So, dapat updated tayo and then yung school. Kasi kay Ched po nang gagaling yung at yung mga curriculum. Okay, next po. It is a method of thinking. So, kasi pinakamahirap sa atin lahat yung mag-start tayo from the beginning. Hindi natin alam, hindi naman tayo pwedeng basta lang magturo. Kasi tumatatak sa isip ng mga student yan kung ano yung tinuro mo. So, dapat, hindi pwedeng maging mali. Kailangan pinag-aralan. Kailangan erudite, concrete. So, doon tayo mag-base sa curriculum. Yan. Yung curriculum na yan ay napakahalaga. Yan ay masusing pinag-aralan. No? Bago laganap sa mga sangay ng government bago ituro sa mga estudyante. Okay? So, next. Sources of curriculum design. Yung mga pinanggagalingan ng curriculum. Check natin. Science is a source. Some curriculum leaders depend on the scientific method when designing curriculum. Yan. So, bukod din pala sa paggawa ng curriculum or sa pag-approve ng curriculum, bukod sa hindi rin pala basta maituro mo lang or gumawa ka ng sariling curriculum or curriculum versus today, po pwede. So, may mga dinadagdag, may mga alintuntunin na dapat sundin. Diba? So, bukod sa pag-approve at paggawa ng curriculum, atun din pala yung design, sa pagdidesign, sa tamang paggawa ng curriculum, nakadepende yan sa leaders. Sino ba yung mga leaders natin? Like, advisor or principal. So, iba-iba rin ang scientific method. Marami scientific method ng curriculum. And so, next po. Society is a source. Curriculum designers believe that school is a vehicle for development of study and stress its curriculum ideas should come from exploration of social situation. So, yung mga curriculum designers, niwala sila na ang school is a vehicle for development of society and stress. So, sa pagde-develop, kailangan laging update kasi ang bata o ang student mabilis ma-board. Di ba? So, hindi lang pa pwedeng mag-ibis tayo sa old curriculum. Kasi, from before, di ba? Papasok tayo sa generation, 21st century, dun yung baby boomers, dun papasok yung Gen X, tama ba? And then papasok ngayon yung millennials. So, iba-iba generation ngayon ng tao. Nag-iiba-iba ang behavior and attitude ng isang estudyante. From elementary, high school, and college. So, kailangan mas mabilis tayo mag-upgrade compared to sa ibang country na naka-upgrade na sila sa curriculum and then sa design. Kasi makatutulong to sa ating society para mas mapakinabangan natin ang mga kabataan. So sabi nga ni Dr. Jose Rizal, ang kabataan ay pag-asa ng bayan. So kung lahat tayo hindi mag-aaral o kung iilan lang ang mag-aaral, kung iilan lang ang maging successful, so mahihirapan ang government. Kasi lahat ng skills natin ay dapat nagagamit natin para makatulong tayo sa ating mga kapwa. Like teachers. Diba? So, we are instrument to help and then maituro natin yung modern technology, educational technology na tinatawag, no? Kasi more on social na tayo ngayon and technology, lalo na ngayon, new normal na, it's pandemic, no? So, kailangan may mga bago tayong proseso, bagong dapat na solusyon, no? Para lang palaganap o maituro sa mga estudyante. Despite of this problem, we need to continue studies. Kasi tumatakbo ang oras at panahon, nasasayang. So dapat bukod sa age natin na nadadagdag, kailangan mas nadadagdag, advance at nadadagdag ang isip natin. Kailangan nagiging modern tayo sa mga situation. Okay, thank you. Next, moral doctrine as a source. Some curriculum designers look into the past for guidance in their present work on the appropriate content of curriculum. So, okay. So, nakasaad dito na yung mga curriculum designers, hindi lang sila puro modern curriculum nagbe-base. So, future. So, paano nila mapapaganda within 2 years, 1 year, 5 years, paano nila ma-develop yung curriculum? Paano tayo makakasabay sa ibang bansa? Di ba? Kasi kung develop na ibang bansa, tayo na iiwan. Hindi naman po pwedeng gano'n. So, gumagawa ang ating government at ang schools at ang mga teachers kung paano natin ma-enhance, no? Paano natin mapapadali, ma-develop ang pagtuturo para mas madali na ma-absorb ano ba yung mga teachings and philosophy. So, dito, nagbe-base din si curriculum designers sa past, di ba? Kasi, hindi naman natin pwedeng ibahin lahat ng buo ang curriculum. So, ito ay step by step, inuunti-unti yan ng mga designers. So, ayan. Nagbe-base sila doon sa old kasi mas napatunayan kasi yung experience and philosophy based doon sa mga unang theory ng mga philosophies, no? Okay. So, ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng doctrine? So, principles which are taught by a religious or politically party. Um, like, religious, no? Masasaad din yan. Okay. So, yun yung mga doctrine, yung mga basic beliefs, yung mga, yun nga yun, yung sinasabi nilang past curriculum, dun sila nagbe-base, no? For proper guide and presentation and organization. Ayan. Okay, next na. Knowledge as a source. Placing knowledge is perhaps a discipline, having the specific structures and methods by which scholars stretch out its boundaries. So, bakit nag-i-start lahat? Ano ba yung role ng teacher? Ano ba yung role ng student? So, lahat yan may source, may reason kung bakit, no? May root. So, doon sa title natin, knowledge is a source. So, doon ginagamit yung natutunan natin, 'di ba? Hindi lang basta natutunan natin. Kailangan tama. Kailangan detalyado, 'di ba? Hindi lang pwede yung matutunan ng estudyante, hindi niya alam kung tama o mali. Kasi yun yung naituturo ng teacher. So, dapat si teacher is maselan or dapat um, concrete, no? Or pinag-aralan mabuti bago i-discuss. And then, hindi lang basta uh, yung ituturo niya, dapat chinecheck niyang mabuti sa mga students, both dun sa fast learners and slow learners. Dapat lahat sila nakakasabay. Dapat lahat marunong, no? Ayan. So, kasi yung knowledge yan is important eh. At the end, pagka nakagraduate na sila, magiging independent na sila, magagamit nila yung mga learnings na natutunan nila from basic. No? Lalo na sa ethics and moral character ng isang bata sa behavior. Kasama talaga siya, no, sa principles of teaching, sa pagdidisiplina ng isang bata at nagagamit ng isang individual para maituro niya sa mga environment, magamit niya sa kanyang pang-araw-araw na buhay, no. Napakaganda na itong teaching subject natin. Talagang magiging aware ka in terms of literature, and then nalalaman natin yung benefits pag inaral mo talaga ito, no? Yung boundaries, hindi lang yung boundaries na sinasabi dito hindi lang ito yung dapat, kung ito lang ang nalalaman mo, kung nakatapos ka lang ng LM lang ang nalalaman mo, hindi. You have to continue learning, di ba? So, paano ba mako-continue learning? Hindi lang about sa experience or expertise. Like katulad ni Malcolm Gladwell, no? So, dapat nga lahat inaaral eh. Sabi nga nila, para maging expertise ka, sabi ni Malcolm Gladwell, kailangan mo ng 10,000 hours. Ano bang equivalent ng 10,000 hours para maging expertise ka sa isang bagay, sa isang talent, or sa isang job or skills, no? Yun yung tinatawag natin sa 10,000 hours is 10 years. So, biro nyo, hindi pala basta-basta. 10 years na pag-aaral or skills para maging master ka sa isang bagay, like doktor, di ba? Tutorials. So, ayun ang ating meaning. Kasi kung ano lang nalalaman mo, hanggang doon na lang. Hindi na na-develop, di ba? So, like, paano pa mag-apply tayo ng work or like teaching? So, kailangan hindi maboring yung mga students natin. Ayan. So, yung learner as a source din, di ba? So, Nagdagdag lang ako dito, no? Sabi ko lang, learner as a source. Curriculum should STEM for our knowledge of students. So, ano ba yung STEM? STEM na tinatawag. Understanding science, technology, engineering, and math. Skills, think about the skills needed in today's workplace. Problem solving, analytical thinking, and the ability to work independently. What do they all have in common? They all related to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Ayan. So, ito na yung pinakabuod niya. Lahat siya nandiyan na. Okay? So, ayan. Naintindihan ba natin? Napaka-basic na English na ito. Ayan. So, lahat ng gusto nating malaman as a student, science, ayan, nandiyan na. Technology, paano ma-develop ang ating everyday lives, paano mapapadali, to lessen our work, no paperworks na tayo, no? Math, paano just to solve problems, so analytical, and paano mo masosolve yung mga problems, or scenarios, or situation, okay? Okay, thank you so much.
Hi, I am Caitlin Lawigan. I will now discuss the conceptual framework. So, in curriculum design, organization of curriculum's components ay merong dalawang basic organizational dimensions. So, ano ba yung mga yon? So, yung una, yung horizontal organization. At yung pangalawa naman ay yung vertical organization. So let me discuss first the horizontal organization. Horizontal organization blends or combines curriculum elements. So ano ba example nito? By combining contents of world history, geography, and political science to create a contemporary world issue course. Another example is by combining contents of phonics, reading, spelling, writing literature to create communication arts course. Kung ang horizontal organization is by combining curriculum elements, ang vertical organization naman is the sequencing of curriculum elements. So, ano ba example nito? Ranking the Philippine history in grade 7 social studies and Asian history in grade 8 social studies and world history in grade 9 social studies is an example of vertical organization. Another example, you cannot understand calculus if hindi nyo mapag-aaralan yung mga prerequisite subjects nito. So, ano ba yung mga yon? Algebra, trigonometry, and analytical geometry. So, kung mapapansin nyo, yung arrangement ng curriculum ay nakaayos sa pinakamadali or simple, papuntang mahirap na lesson or tinatawag nating complex learning. Curricula are structured so that the same topics are tackled in different grade levels, but increasing items and an increasingly higher level of thinking. So now, I will share some curriculum tips from Ornstein and Hodgkins. So there are points to consider in contemplating curriculum design. First, reflect on your philosophical education and curriculum assumptions with regards to the goal of the school or school district. Also, consider your students' needs and aspirations. Consider the various design components and their organization. Sketch out the various design components to be implemented. Cross-check your selected design components against the school mission. So what are those components? The objectives, content, learning experiences, and evaluation approaches. And last, share your curriculum design with a colleague. While design decisions are necessary in most schools, curricular designs obtain little attention. Curricular workers do little designing other than to suggest content that manifests their philosophical and political viewpoints, which commonly are not carefully planned. Dahil doon, some educators recognize or realize how socioeconomic, political, and cultural factors affect or shape their choices about horizontal and vertical organization. In a positive side naman, an increasing number of curricular workers consider that design reveals multiplicity of voices, meanings, and points of view. So again, there are two types of basic organizational dimensions. The horizontal, which blends or combines curriculum elements, and vertical, which is the sequencing of curricular elements.
Curriculum design qualities. The design of a curriculum has an organizational dimension to it that accounts for what content and skills should be taught and for how they should be instructionally presented over time. No curriculum design is really unique. Instead, all designs have some qualities in common with other designs. It is the combination of features that makes each design unique. Example of features are the following. Number 1 is the scope. Scope refers to the breadth and depth of curriculum content at any level or at any given time. According to Ralph Tyler, it refers to the consisting all the contents, topics, learning experiences, and organizing threads comprising the educational plan. Also, according to John Goodlad and Ji Sun Su, it refers to the curriculum's horizontal dimension. The scope of a curriculum is usually structured in units, and units are divided into lesson plans. So in simple words, scope is the coverage of the curriculum. Number 2 is the sequence. Sequence concerned with the order of the topics over time. So there is a question behind it. In what order should I present the information? In this question is answered through thinking about the sequence of the curriculum. The sequence is the order in which the information is presented to the student. So there are 4 common sequencing approaches in curriculum design. Those are simple to complex learning, prerequisite learning, whole to part learning, and chronological learning. The first one is the simple to complex learning. Simple to complex learning indicates that simpler concepts are presented before more complex ones. So this is a self-explanatory. The curriculum is designed in such a way that simpler concepts are presented before the more complex ones. Okay, so in simple to complex learning, content and experiences are organized from simple to complex or from easy to difficult. Actually, many math curriculum uses this sequencing approach. The second one is the prerequisite learning. Prerequisite learning is similar to whole-to-part learning. Works on the assumption that bits of information must be grasped before other bits can be comprehended. Prerequisite knowledge does not matter as long as all of it is addressed before the more complex knowledge. Many college majors have prerequisites that must be taken before other classes. So, for example po dito is yung subject po. So first, kailangan po muna mag-take ng Accounting 1 before po mag-take ng Accounting 2. That is the prerequisite learning. Kumbaga po, meron po munang dapat i-take na process. For example din po dito is yung magkikinder po muna si student before po siya makapag-grade 1. That is an example of prerequisite learning. The third one is the whole-to-part learning. Cognitive psychologists urge that curriculum should be arranged so that the content is first presented in an overview that provides students with general idea. So it provides students with an overview of the subject before going into specific details. Actually, this is a deductive approach in contrast to the inductive approach of simple to complex learning. For example is, sometimes foreign languages are taught whole-to-part instead of starting with grammar. So the teacher will dive right into sentences to get the students using the language in a natural way. The last one is the chronological learning. Chronological learning refers to content whose sequence reflects the times of real-world occurrences. When the curriculum is sequenced by the order, the concepts happen historically. So naturally, history is a subject that often uses a sequencing that is chronological. So other examples po nito is making a handicrafts. So for making a handicrafts, kailangan po chronological order po yun pong paggawa po ng handicrafts. Kumbaga po, meron pong step-by-step procedure rather. So that's all for the 4 learning principles of the curriculum design qualities. Thank you.
Hi, hello classmate. Ako pala si Rikel, ang magpapresent ng slide nito. Continuity is an elaboration on sequence. It's also referred to smoothness or absence of disruption in the curriculum over time. Sequence without continuity is possible, but continuity without sequence is not. Continuity is mostly manifested in Jerome Bruner's notion of spiral curriculum. Sabi nga, pwede magkaroon ng sequence kahit walang continuity. Pero, imposible na magkaroon ng continuity kung wala namang sequence. So, makikita nyo sa table, yung curriculum 1, alphabetically arranged at tuloy-tuloy. Curriculum 2, may sequence pero may pagitan or gap. Hindi smooth ang flow dahil may disruption sa curriculum. Sa curriculum 3, walang sequence, kaya imposibleng magkaroon din ng continuity. Isang magandang halimbawa ng curriculum 1 ay ang K-12 curriculum or spiral curriculum. Sa old curriculum natin kasi dati, pag grade 10 ka, P6 lang ang pinag-aaralan. Ngayon K-12, simula grade 7 hanggang grade 10 ay may P6 na. Pataas ang level ng knowledge, kaya may sequence at meron ding continuity. Next, integration. Integration is linking all type of knowledge and contained experience within the curriculum plan. Ibig sabihin, ito yung connection or pagsama-sama ng kaalaman ng bawat subject sa isa't isa. Halimbawa, P6. Ito ay pinagsamang kaalaman ng math at science. Kung sa history naman, ay pwede ring integrasyon ng values kung saan may papakita ang pagmamahal sa bayan. Next, articulation. Articulation is the smooth flow of the curriculum on both vertical and horizontal dimension. Articulation can be done vertically or horizontally. Pag vertically, naka-arrange yung content. Naka-arrange yung content from level to level. Simula lower grade, papataas. Pag horizontally naman, nangyayari siya ng sabay. Parang integration din. Halimbawa, yung sa grade 6, social study, pwedeng i-relate sa science. Next, balance. Balance, educator attempt to provide necessary weight to each part of the design. In curriculum, it's provide children skills, knowledge, and attitude. Bale, katulad ng theory ni John Piaget, cognitive knowledge, affective attitude, psychomotor skills. Kailangan ng balance curriculum para mabigyan ang mga bata ng sapat na kaalaman sa iba't ibang aspeto or aspect. Next, curriculum tips. Guidelines for curriculum design. Bullet 1. Create a curriculum committee. So, binubuo ito ng teachers, parents, community member, administrator, at kung pwede, mga estudyante. Create a schedule for meeting. Create a schedule for meeting to make curriculum. So, kailangan gumawa ng schedule para makapagpulong, para mapag-usapan kung anong klaseng curriculum design ang gagawin. Gather data about educational issue and suggested solution. So, ito ay group discussion para makapag-produce ng idea o para resolve rin yung mga problema. Process, design, and compare the advantage and disadvantage. Kapag nakagawa na or gawa na lahat, dapat ay pagkumparahin ang curriculum design. Katulad ng cost. Magastos ba to? Or hindi magastos? Makakatipid ba? Scheduling. Matagal ba itong gawin? Saglit lang ba ito gawin? Class size. Malaki ba to or maliit? Pagkatapos, pagtutugmain sa existing curricula or curriculum para makita ang advantage at disadvantage. Schedule time for reflection and revision of the design. After i-test or i-try yung curriculum design, dapat na magkaroon ng evaluation or reflection kung may mga dapat pang baguhin para ma-revise ito for improvements. Explain the design to colleagues, community. So, papaliwanag kung anong mga nilalaman ng curriculum sa mga kasamaan or community. So, that's all. Thank you.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Astrid Elise Blanca, and I will be discussing one out of the three types of curriculum designs. So we actually have three curriculum designs. First one is subject-centered, then we have the learner-centered, and the problem-centered design. So I'll be discussing the first one, which is the subject-centered design, which has 5 classifications. So let's discuss first what subject-centered design is. So subject-centered design, among the curriculum designs, this is the most popular and widely used. Its knowledge and content are well accepted as integral parts of the curriculum, and it has the most classifications. So if you notice on the previous slide, there, it has the most classification. It has 5. So let's go then to the second one, or the first classification rather. So subject design, so it's the curriculum, or the curriculum is organized according to how essential knowledge has developed in various subject areas. Subject design, this is the oldest and best known school design to both teacher and lay people. This design rests on the idea that subjects are best outlined in textbooks. So it's kind of like the teacher-centered that we discussed on our previous lessons, because here it is the teacher who normally assumes the active role of lecturing, direct instructions, recitation, and large group dialogue. But good thing about this design is that discussion proceeds from simple to complex idea, thus reasoning is emphasized. I think this is the type of curriculum design that I experienced back in the 90s. I'm not sure though. I'm just guessing. Don't quote me on that. So, supporters of this design uphold the importance of verbal activities, claiming that knowledge and ideas are best communicated and stored in verbal form. Moreover, this design is easy to present because complementary textbooks and support materials are commercially available. If there are supporters, there are also those who oppose. For them, this design blocks program individualization and de-emphasizes the learner. They further claim that this design disempowers students by not allowing them to choose the content most meaningful for them. The subject design emphasizes content and disregards students' needs, interests, and experience. So that's the subject design. Next classification is the discipline design. The curriculum is focuses in discipline, which refers to specific knowledge learned through a method which the scholars use to study a specific content of their field. So this disciplined knowledge emphasizes on science, mathematics, English, history, and other disciplines. This means that students would perform mathematics as a neophyte mathematician, and students would approach history topics by following methods used by historians. So followers of this design emphasize understanding and conceptual structures and processes of the discipline. So that is the major difference of this design from the subject-centered design. No, the subject design rather. Because in subject design, students are considered to have learned if they acquired information. So by simply acquiring information, they are considered that they have learned. While this design, students learn by experiencing the discipline. So though sometimes it's difficult to determine if a classroom has a subject or discipline design. This design encourages students to see each discipline's basic logic and structure, or the relationship of the concept and principles. So the third classification is the broad fields design. So the design was made to prevent the compartmentalization of subjects and integrate the contents that are related to each other. So this design is also known as the interdisciplinary design. This is similar to subject design but broader in a sense, because if subject design has divisions and limited classifications, designer of this discipline tried to give students a comprehensive understanding of all the content areas. So educators made an effort to integrate content that match together soundly. So for example, history, sociology, anthropology, political science, economics, and geography, these subjects were fused together under social studies. Another example is biology, chemistry, and physics. They can be joined together under what? General science. Last example, linguistic, grammar, literature, and spelling. These were carved into language arts. So the view for the broad field is easy. Educators can simply combine two or more related subjects into a single broader field of study. So next, correlation design. So comes from core that links separate subjects in order to reduce fragmentation. Subjects are related to one another, but each subject maintains its identity. So some innovative curriculum leaders began searching their way not to create a broad field design and recognize there are times when separate subjects requires connection to avoid fragmentation of division of its curricular content. So halfway between separate subjects and total content integration was born the correlation design, which attempts to identify ways in which subjects can be linked yet maintain their own identities. So it's half-half. This is similar to the idea of the functions of education we discussed in PED 5A, if you can still recall, integrated, under learner-centered, where Ma'am Noemi told us that it is teaching one subject with another discipline. So this design is like that. So for example, mathematics and science. So chemistry subject have a unit in math that deals with the mathematics required to conduct an experiment. Another example, English literature and history. Isn't it that when we study history, sometimes it comes with novel known for a certain era, and we read those novels as part of the history subject. So basically, the content areas retain their characteristics, and the teachers of these courses maintain their subject matter specialties. So for the last subject-centered design, which is, where are you? The process design. So this design stresses the procedures that allow students to analyze reality and construct frameworks different from the way the world appears to casual viewers. So the responsibility of educators to their students is to teach them how to think. To address this, curricular designs must develop learners on how to learn the application of process to subject matter. This design reveals a modern orientation, the process of knowledge acquisition, which needs to be learned by the students for them to reach a certain degree of consensus. In this postmodern design, it motivates students to unravel the processes by which they examine and reach conclusions. They need to study their information processing methods in order to gain visions into how knowledge is produced. It is said that process designs may be the most active in the future. It is quite likely that they will increasingly merge with designs known as learner-centered. So that's it for the subject-centered design. And to discuss the next type of curriculum design, let me pass the spotlight to Ryan. Thank you.
Okay, start tayo kay learner-centered design. Talaga ng part ito. Pag sinabi nating learner-centered design, mean to empower learners and allow them to shape their education through choices. Sinasabi dito na ang students will program emphasis and sinasabi na ang students are program emphasis and progressive. At ito daw yung mas ginagamit sa mga elementary than secondary. Kasi naka-highlight o naka-focus ito sa mismong bata sa elementary. Unlike sa secondary is more on subject-oriented. Ito yung tinatawag din tong meron itong program emphasis or structured study strand. Okay. Next. Ngayon tayo kay child-centered design. The design should be centered on students' lives, needs, and interests. Proponents of this design believe students must be enthusiastic or enjoyment or merong interest sa mismong ginagawa. No? Sabi nga ni Arthur Ellis, attending to students' need and interest requires careful observation of students that they can those needs and interests at saka dapat ay mayroon ding educational value yung sinasabi. Sabi din dito, people with this view considers knowledge as an outgrowth of personal experience para ma-advance their goal and construct it from their interaction in the real world. Okay. Next tayo kay experience-centered design. Itong design na ito ay nagpapakahalin tulad kay child-centered. Alos wala naman silang pinagkaiba, no? Na ang concern ay source of shaping children's school world. Pero ang pagkakaiba ng experience-centered design sa children-centered design ay ang needs and interests cannot be planned for all children. Supporters of child experience-centered curriculum seriously highlight the learner's interest, no, and creativity. Dito ang role ng teacher ay magbuo ng inspiring learner environment na may explore ng mga student at ng mga educators or teacher. Ay ina-analyze din dapat kung gaano natututunan ng bata through experience. Next is romantic design. This design considers the student must learn ways of involvement in an analysis of knowledge. Sinasabi dito radicals reflect, at other term pala nito is radical design, no? Si romantic. Sinasabi dito that the radicals reflect current society as corrupt, suppressive, and powerless to remedy itself. Ito yung school ay ginagamit ang kanilang curriculum to indoctrinate and control their students rather than educate and liberate them. Next tayo. Ito is humanistic design. The development of self is the ultimate objectives of learning. Approach problems with flexibility and intelligence. This design gains in 1960s to 1970s, ano? Pero noong 1920s and 30s, itong design nito appeared as part of progressive philosophy and the whole child movement in psychology. Also, in the humanist curriculum, designs allow students to experience learning with emotion, imagination, and wonder. Yun, mga porikoy. Next, ito na yung the curriculum matrix. Curriculum dimensions in considering content in depth. First, yung intellectual dimension. Ito yung means the growth of child's ability to think and reason. It's about how they organize their mind, ideas, and thoughts. Ayan yung sa intellectual. Ngayon, punta tayo kay emotional dimension. It is the knowledge of a specific specialized discipline or field in contrast to general knowledge. Yun lang yung general knowledge. Next is the social dimension. It is important to notice that the social dimension is a wide concept encompassing several factors. Itong content na ito is contribute the student for social development and human relation. No? Ito lang naman yun, socialize. Physical dimension. Next natin, yung pang 4. Itong content na ito is selected to develop their physical skills and also to aware student to be physically aware. Ano? Ito yung physical dimension. To develop their physical skills. Aesthetic is a way of regaining to such with the process of learning something new. It's being introduced something never know in a particular way before. Aesthetic, no? Kakaiba. Process earning something new. No, yun lang naman yun. Kakaiba sa mga unang nakita nila. No? Bago. Yun lang yun. Transcendent or spiritual dimension. Ito yung madalas sa public school na bago mag-start yung klase dati. Natandaan ko yung bago mag-start merong religion. Tama ba? Religion. Tama. Yung may pumapasok minsan madre, brother, mga ganun. Nag-lecture. Bago mag-start yung religion muna, di ba? Need ito ng mga estudyante dahil its content, no, causes student to reflect on the nature of humanness. Okay.
The third major type of curriculum is the problem-centered design, which concentrates on real-life problems of individuals and society that are based on social issues. So this curriculum design uses a student approach, but it but it instructs students how to look at a problem or situation and formulate a solution. The developed skill under this curriculum design can be applied in the real world or in the real life situation. So there are two classifications of problem-centered design. So yung una ay yung life situations design. So the uniqueness of this design is that the content is organized in ways that allow students to view the problem areas clearly. So there are three fundamental rules to life situation design. First, dealing with persistent life situations is crucial to society's successful functioning, and it makes educational sense to organize a curriculum around them. Second, students will see the relevance of the content if it is organized around aspect of community life. And last, having students study social or life situations will directly involve them in improving society. The strength of this design, it focuses on the problem-solving procedures and also uses the students' past and present experiences to get them examine or analyze the basic aspects of living. The other classification of problem-centered design is the reconstructionist design. So the curriculum design promotes social action aimed at reconstructing society. It promotes society's social, political, and economic development. Here, students should be involved in creating more equitable or fair society. Ideally, students spend most of their time in the classroom. But here in Reconstructionist, students will spend half of their time in the classroom and the other half will be outside of the classroom in different setting. So what is that different setting? Bringing students into their community to encourage them to be curious and explore the world with the goal of developing it. The major purpose of the social reconstructionist curriculum is to involve students in critical examination of the local, national, and international community in order to address humanity's problems. So, balikan lang po natin yung mga na-discuss po ng aking group mates. So, again, what are the sources of curriculum design? So, we have the science, society, moral doctrine, knowledge, and learner. So, what are the two basic organizational dimension? So, meron tayong horizontal organization and vertical organization. So, ano naman yung mga qualities ng curriculum design? So, merong scope, sequence, continuity, integration, articulation, and balance. And meron tayong tatlong types of curriculum design na may kanya-kanyang classification. So, una, subject-centered design. So, ano ba yung mga classification nito? Subject, discipline, broad field, correlation, and process. Sa learner-centered design naman ay child-centered, experience-centered, romantic or radical, and humanistic. And last, sa problem-centered design naman, life situation, social problem, or reconstructionist. So, doon na po nagtatapos ang aming report. We hope na may naibahagi kaming kaalaman sa inyo. So, thank you po and God bless. Stay safe.